today we're going to go through tibial rotations in a closed chain position and then transfer that into a bottoms up split squat to build that single leg stability with that knee and ankle tracking upon one another. So you'll need a towel or a slippery sock on a floor, and we're going to go into a half kneeling position. So bottom leg is at 90 degrees, top leg is at 90 at both the hip and ankle and knee, and you're going to start with your toe spread tripod position. From here, you're going to think about that arrow coming out of that bony prominence in the front of the knee, and we're pointing straight forward to start, and then keeping that tripod of the foot, you're going to rotate so that arrow's pointing to the side, and then we're going to rotate so that arrow's pointing in. I'm keeping my hip in a neutral position, so I'm not allowing it to rotate out or in. I'm keeping it stacked. My knee is stacked over my ankle, and all that movement comes through the knee. So I'm not rotating through my ankle. My foot is rotating due to that movement occurring at the knee. So again, you can think about that screw in the heel, and we're actually pivoting through that heel to get that rotation in both directions. I want to keep those toes nice and spread, nice and long as I work through. So we'll do a couple reps of that and then switch sides. So again, finding that 90-90 position, nice spread toes, tripod of the foot, so equal pressure on the base of the little toe, big toe, and both sides of the heel. Thinking about that anchor point through the heel, knee is stacked over the ankle, and we're rotating out as much as we can without that hip opening up, and then rotating in. And the towel, you can tell if you're starting to crunch through the toes instead of staying nice and long and rotating through the knee. So I'm a little bit more limited on this side in internal rotation, and my compensation is to want to curl the toes to get there. So good kind of note or awareness for myself to have. And so see if once you can't go any further with the knee, where do you like to compensate? Where do you have to bring more awareness to make sure you're not helping it along? Good. So from here, we're going to integrate that into a bottoms up split squat. So you're going to be in that 90-90 position again. Trunk is a little bit forward. So when we do a split squat or a lunge, similar to when we're running, we want a little bit of a forward lean, but that lean comes from the hips and not by collapsing through the trunk. So we're maintaining our ribs stack over our pelvis, and just like 5 to 10 degrees, not very much, but we don't want to stay upright too much because we'll lose that rib over pelvis position and go into scissors and then compress that low back. So the natural tendency when we move forward is to have a little bit of that forward lean of the trunk. So I find my tripod, spread those toes, I'm tucking that back toe under, working on that big toe mobility, and then we're integrating it all together. So my knees stacked over my ankle, my toes are spread, I find my tripod, toes are tucked under and pressing that big toe mound towards the ground, and then from here, I'm going to push equally through both feet to come up into our kind of standing position. And then from here, I'm going to bend both knees at the same rate to come back down. So I love starting the split squat from the bottoms up to make sure we have that stack and to make sure we have that toe extensibility and that toe foot control and spread versus starting from the top and coming down. So we're making sure we're starting in a nice loaded position, coming up, and then coming back down. So you can do a couple of those 6 to 8 reps on one side and then switch over to the other. So again, finding that 90-90 position, front and back leg, ribs stacked over the pelvis, slight forward lean, tuck those back toes under, trying to get that big toe mound so that the low goes through the foot and not just the toe. So too often we come up on too high on our toes and we're not able to get that great toe extension, which is what gives us our hip extension. Okay, and these are things that you want to do with bare feet so you can work on that control. Foot spread on the other side, tripod position, again slight forward lean, and then pressing equally through both legs, and then coming back down. And if you want to build a little more heat, don't allow your knee to rest on the ground between each rep. So keeping that tension throughout. So this is something that you can incorporate into a dynamic warm-up or maybe do on its own as more of a strength circuit. But again, working on that knee rotation first so we make sure we have a really good stack in our split squat.